How Brother Paul escaped kidnappers during Easter retreat. They searched for him everywhere. For 2 days, his tent at the Easter retreat remained untouched, his Bible still open to the book of Psalms, his prayer mat soaked with dried tears. Brother Paul had come to seek the face of God. But while others cried in tongues under the large revival tent, he was crying in pain, in the grip of kidnappers, deep in the forest, chained like a criminal. What was supposed to be a holy retreat became the valley of the shadow of death. But this is not a story of loss. This is the story of how God showed up with fire, and how worship became the weapon that broke chains. The scent of rain lingered in the air, as if heaven had walked the land hours before. Birds chirped lazily in the tall trees surrounding the Okadu Retreat Center, their songs blending with the hum of worship rising from tents nestled beneath the hills. It was the second day of the annual Easter retreat, when believers gathered to fast, pray, and seek God. Brother Paul had come early that year, not just to attend, but to surrender. Life had been overwhelming. His wife, Talu, had just recovered from her 3rd miscarriage. Then, as if pain had birthed promise, she became pregnant again. And this time, the baby lived. They named her Deborah. A miracle. A vow fulfilled. Paul had wept the day she was born. He made a promise. If you give me this child, I'll return with thanksgiving. I'll serve you with everything. The Easter retreat was his altar. A sacred place. But he never imagined his greatest test would begin on this very ground. The disappearance. On the second morning, Paul felt led to leave the prayer tent and go deeper into the forest, where the noise of worship wouldn't distract him. He'd done it before, found a quiet spot under a mango tree to pray alone. He left his phone charging. No one saw him go. He prayed for hours, about his family, revival, and his fears. A strange wind blew through the trees. Paul took it as a sign. "Let your spirit blow upon me," he whispered. Then came the rustling. He opened his eyes to see 3 men in torn clothes, faces wrapped in dirty scarves. One held a machete, another, a rifle. Paul didn't have time to scream before a sack was thrown over his head. Something struck his back. He remembered falling. Then, darkness. The captivity. He woke up with his hands tied, feet bound, and a throbbing head. The air was thick with blood, smoke, and urine. They were in a broken hut, hidden in the forest. The leader, speaking Hausa-laced pidgin, sneered, "Pastor, ABI? No worry. We no want ransom. We want sacrifice." Paul's heart stopped. At first, he thought it was a joke. But the fire, the red-stained machete, and fetish items said otherwise. They weren't thieves. They were ritualists. And he had been chosen. For 3 days, they barely fed him, just dirty water and dry gari. They mocked him for praying. "Your Jesus no day here," one said. "N.A. Bush. No church here." But Paul whispered scripture with blood on his lips, "Even though I walk through the valley." On the 3rd night, they brought in a girl. She looked 17. Eyes swollen, lips trembling. Paul overheard, "We go use both. One for blood. One for fire." That night, Paul broke. He cried until he couldn't anymore. But something shifted. The encounter. As the ritual began, the men circled the fire, chanting. One poured red liquid into the flames. Sparks flew. The girl screamed. In chains, Paul began to sing. His voice was cracked but steady. "You are the pillar that holds my life." At first, they laughed. "You day sing him? You go soon meet your God." But then the youngest among them began to shake. He dropped his machete, clutching his chest. "I day burn. My body day burn." They thought he was faking until he rolled on the ground, screaming. "Make him stop that song." The leader shouted, "Hold him." But the fire shot up, taller than a man. The wind roared. The shrine items scattered. Calabashes broke. The blood pot spilled. Candles died out. Then came the thunder. A bolt struck a tree outside. Flames roared. The roof shook. The captors fled in fear, forgetting Paul and the girl. In the chaos, Paul felt his ropes loosen, though no one touched them. He grabbed the girl's hand. "Run!" They ran, through bush, thorns, and trees. His feet bled. His arms ached. But they didn't stop until they found a road. Then they collapsed. The rescue. At the retreat center, a prayer team had been interceding all night. Pastor Grace kept declaring, "God is not done with him." At dawn, searchers found Paul and the girl by the roadside. She was unconscious. He was barely breathing. People wept. Even the men. The sight of Brother Paul, blooded, barefoot, alive, was too much. They were rushed to a clinic. Paul stayed 6 days in recovery. The first words he uttered were, "Did I sing loud enough?" The testimony. A month later, the church was packed. Brother Paul, still walking with a cane, took the altar and shared everything. The abduction, the torture, the worship, the fire, the ropes falling off. People cried. Some shouted. Others fell to their knees in worship. Then, Paul paused. "I know what I saw. I know what I felt. But today, meet someone else." A young man stepped forward, weeping. It was the boy who screamed during Paul's singing. He took the mic. "I was one of them. I joined them for money. I didn't know it would mean blood." He paused, sobbing. But when Brother Paul sang, something entered the room. Fire. Real fire. Not of this world. He knelt at the altar. "I gave my life to Jesus 2 weeks ago. I keep seeing his face. I want to serve him." The church erupted in praise. The same boy meant to take a life was saved by the power of worship. Brother Paul returned to the retreat center weeks later. This time, he didn't go into the forest. He stayed close to the people, but when he sang, the crowd fell silent. Because they knew, his voice once broke chains, set captives free, and turned enemies into brothers. To him, that was the greatest miracle of all.